How are you, Howard Beck?
I'm doing well, Rich. How are you?
I'm better for talking to you. Make heads or tails of that Warriors-Timberwolves trade. Very rare that a 14 and 15 seed of a conference make a blockbuster, but it appears to be the clubhouse leader right now, the bigger eyebrow raiser, Howard, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, on the Minnesota side of it, there's no surprise at all. We've known that they were in hot pursuit of DeAngelo Russell for some time, wanted to sign him last summer before he ended up going to the Warriors in that sign-and-trade deal. And DeAngelo Russell is tight with Karl Anthony Towns. He fills a need. He, allows Gerson Rosas and his crew, the new front office, to put a different kind of stamp on this team that has just been kind of, wandering the desert for the last few years and couldn't quite get traction. I have no issues on their side of it. On the Warriors side of it, I just have curiosity. It's, DeAngelo Russell signing was always a signing of convenience. You're losing Durant. He's agreed to do a sign-and-trade. You do a dual sign-and-trade, and you get DeAngelo Russell. Now you don't lose Durant for nothing. He's a placeholder. He could play with Curry or whatever. However you want to see DeAngelo Russell, you could have seen him as short-term, long-term, whatever. I do think it was inevitable they were going to trade him. I do think it was inevitable you would see a move to try to maximize his value in another deal. Whether they got the best value is going to be the question going forward, because Andrew Wiggins obviously was number one pick for a reason, but he's been a very frustrating player. A lot of talent, a lot of potential still 4 or 5 years into his career, but it's not clear what his ultimate ceiling will be. And I think this is probably the Warriors having a vote of confidence in themselves. We will develop him better. We'll put him in a better context. And by the way, there's a huge difference between being Andrew Wiggins next to another young player like Towns trying to prop up a franchise that's been in a bad way for a long time versus Andrew Wiggins going to a team that's won 3 championships with 3 Hall of Famers sitting there waiting for you to play with them and play a role, not have to be the guy who's carrying a franchise and has all of that on his shoulders. So you might see a very different Wiggins in that context.
So I guess if I had told you when the Russell signing happened that essentially the Warriors, in losing Durant, as we assumed they might, again, this is when I'm hitting the Wayback Machine to last June, right? That it would turn into Wiggins and a potential 4th overall selection, right? Because it's protected up to number 3 for this coming draft. You'd say what? I mean, because that's basically what they've turned this into right here with the 2022 second-round pick, understood. So
yeah. No, I mean, Rich, that's the right way of looking at it. And you would say that's fine. Just as we said it was fine they got DeAngelo Russell because Durant was going to leave regardless. So it's a matter of getting something instead of nothing. Now, Wiggins is coming with a big contract attached. And so there, anybody who's still a very, pronounced skeptic of Wiggins, of which there are probably many, justifiably, you might say, that's not the best use of an outgoing Kevin Durant. But the pick, I think, makes it more palatable. And again, Wiggins is still young enough that if you feel really confident as an organization about your player development skills, your staff, your surrounding cast, it's different. Again, I can't stress this enough because we see it all the time in this league. A guy's drafted high and he just doesn't work out because all the expectations are on him in one place. And guys have talent, but they don't all have the right mental makeup to carry a franchise, or they're better off really in the NBA being a number 2 or a number 3, and it could still blossom into an all-star as a number 2 or number 3. But if Wiggins really wasn't cut out to be a number 1 for the Timberwolves or a co-number 1 with Towns, we're going to see, I'm convinced of this much, we will see a much different version of him with the Warriors. And I think, again, if you're losing Durant and what you got was Wiggins still young enough with potential and a number 1 pick that could be pretty high in the lottery, that's not bad.
Howard Beck here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so tell me what the Rockets are thinking with their trade.
Which one? With the Rockets getting Covington?
Yeah, Covington with Capella. Yes, sir. Going. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating because, D'Antoni's always been a fan of small ball, and P.J. Tucker's been a great small ball center. But small ball in this league these last several years has mostly meant the Warriors rolling out the death lineup. They start with Andrew Bogut or they start with some other true center playing the starting minutes, and then at some point in the game they unleash the death lineup and they go small with Draymond Green. And the Rockets are basically committing to just a full-time version of this with PJ Tucker as the undersized center. And I think they're still, as the last I heard, scouring the market for a big for the, in case of emergency break glass situations. But I think they're committed to the idea they're just going to go small, and they're going to say, whatever we give up defensively to teams that have bigs, we'll more than make up for it at the other end, because you're not going to be able to keep up with us, and we're going to shoot a ton of threes. Covington, their defense, the Rockets' defense has been pretty average at best, and Covington will help shore up the defense. They're going to be switchable 1 through 5. That has been their hallmark too, to have that kind of defense, and we'll see how it works out for them. It's a really interesting gambit.
And the Heat Grizzlies trade is intriguing on both ends here, man. I mean, Iguodala being sent to the Heat. We all know about his playoff bona fides. Jay Crowder too. It looks like Riley's getting some veterans of the May-June set to throw there in Miami to make a run maybe at Giannis, Howard.
Well, they definitely have their eyes on Giannis, as a lot of teams around the league do in 2021. But in the near term, and I think the near term is the more important part of this, because they went from a team that, okay, we're good and we're plucky, and, oh, look, we signed Jimmy Butler, to fringe contender in the East, to, oh, now they're definitely a contender. I mean, I think
no. And by the way, that was what I meant. Making a run at Giannis. I should have said the Bucks. Right now. I mean, making a run.
Dethrone him.
No. To make a run here. I mean, they're 34-16.
Yeah.
It's no one's just going to raise the white flag. It just seems like he's trying to get him now, is what I'm saying, and beat him.
Yes. No, they're trying to beat him now and sign him down the road.
That's right.
Definitely. Sorry, I misinterpreted that.
No, it's my fault for saying it that way.
The Bucks, the Bucks, record-wise, have been ahead of the pack. I think structurally, though, if you just look across the contenders in the East, I don't know that any team on talent alone is far and away better than any other. And that's with all due respect to the Bucks and their record and what they've achieved. And I think that the Heat, as one of those teams, along with Toronto, along with Boston, Philly, although Philly's weird, I just put them off to the side for the moment. But these other teams that are in the running, they're all really based around one ultimate star. Jimmy Butler, Pascal Siakam. Boston's more of a collective, and the Bucks have Giannis. So if you're the Heat and your strength has been Butler plus a bunch of really, really good players and great ball movement, passing, defense, and you add Iguodala in there and you bring in Jay Crowder, and we'll see what else they can pull off. I mean, also along the way, this is the wizardry of Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg. They pawned off their two problem children in James Johnson and Dion Waiters in this deal. That's incredible.
A few more minutes left with Bleacher Report's Howard Beck here on the Rich Eisen Show. As we're talking right now, the Knicks are playing the Lakers and Clippers off of one another from Marcus Morris, and hoping that maybe Kuzma is involved in the trade from the Lakers, or Mo Harkless and others from the Clippers, while at the same time they're reaching into the ranks of CAA up on the Avenue of the Stars in Century City to snag a new team president. Walk me through what's going on with the Knicks, Howard.
Boy, so many gears moving with the Knicks right now. It's that they moved this quickly to create a new front office out of thin air just days after firing Steve Mills or removing him from that position. It's dizzying, frankly. So Leon Rose will come in from CAA. We'll see who else he brings with him. We'll see what kind of new front office structure they create on the fly here. In the meantime, Scott Perry, who was the GM under Mills, is, I would presume, to be the one doing all this, because Leon Rose has to divest all of his CAA interests. He still represents a bunch of guys. He can't be the president right this minute. It's not possible. It's not legal. So this is Scott Perry and the rest of the folks who are left over there trying to play the Clippers and Lakers off of each other in the Marcus Morris sweepstakes. I think one of those things is going to happen, and it's the right move. They signed all these guys last summer. It was a really bizarre, plan B after they missed KD and Kyrie and the rest of the stars, and it always made more sense once this season went off course, as it predictably did, that you would move on those veterans and try to get value for them. So if they can get a first-round pick and Mo Harkless or whoever it's going to be, they've got to do it. I mean, they should be ripping out everything to the studs. Everybody on that roster almost should be available right now because there's not a lot to build with, and you really just need to keep trying to set yourself up for the future so that when Leon Rose and his group come in, they've got more tools to work with.
So, from what you're telling me, the Knicks are making a major front office maneuver in remaking the entire structure, one would imagine, underneath James Dolan, just as there is a trade deadline happening with a general manager that we are assuming is either the choice of Leon Rose or not. And this was after the inevitable cratering of a first half of a season because Kevin Durant and Kyrie didn't arrive, even though James Dolan said he was very confident they would. Did I pretty much sum that all up accurately, Howard?
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the state of the Knicks. Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like while we're talking right now, it has been confirmed that Morris is going to be a Clipper, and we'll see what happens there. Does that change anything you think with what's going on atop the Western Conference here, Howard? That the Clippers are now loaded for bear to try and deny the Lakers what they're hoping for right now?
Well, I think that. This was a more predictable outcome because the Clippers had, I think, a little bit more maneuverability to make a deal. Mm-hmm. The Lakers didn't have a lot to offer, especially if they don't want to give up Kuzma. And I thought, it's a great move for the Clippers. Those two teams are neck and neck. Is Marcus Morris going to be the difference between the Clippers or the Lakers winning the West? I don't know, but he's a tough player. He can shoot the three. He can defend multiple positions. He's a guy you can certainly throw at LeBron James now if you're the Clippers. You can throw Kawhi at LeBron James. You can throw Paul George at LeBron James. You can do a number of things now if you're the Clippers defensively. You've got great versatility, not just against LeBron, obviously, but the rest of the playoff field as well. He's a great addition, and he's an upgrade for them. Another great move by the Clipper front office, which has been doing great work, really for the last 2 years.
Howard, appreciate the time. Thanks much. We'll chat with you down the line. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. Always a pleasure, man.
Right back at you, at Howard Beck on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.